You've given up sugar, tried fasting, and cut back on fats and carbohydrates, but the belly is still there for a reason, and it's not the food. If your brain doesn't receive 3 specific signals, it'll keep storing fat to protect you. The first signal is sent through how you use carbohydrates, and almost everybody does it wrong. Imagine you're on the couch and a friend sends you a video about how to lose fat quickly. The YouTuber, confident and persuasive, tells you that carbohydrates are the enemy, and without realizing it, convinces you to do just what silences that first signal. You eat clean, reduce calories, move more, but from the first hour of the day, you're making the same mistakes that 99% of people make. You even start skipping breakfast thinking that it will speed everything up. 1 week later, you step on the scale and see 5 kilos less. You feel a total euphoria. You think you've finally found the solution, but then you look in the mirror and absolutely nothing has changed. That's the first problem. The weight goes down, but your body doesn't look different. What almost nobody explains to you is what really just happened inside. Your muscles store carbohydrates in the form of glycogen, and each gram of glycogen holds between 3 and 4 grams of water. When you suddenly cut carbohydrates, your body burns that glycogen to survive, and all that water leaves with it. The result is immediate but deceptive. Congratulations, you didn't lose 5 kilograms of fat, you lost water and maybe, just maybe, half a kilogram of real fat. Here the second problem arises. Although you might not notice it from the outside, your organs are panicking. To your brain, you're not just defining, you're in scarcity. And when that happens, it triggers defense mode. It starts using less energy, increases hunger, and becomes more efficient at storing fat whenever possible. Exactly the opposite of what you want. And this is dangerous because your willpower is not infinite. Sooner or later it breaks. That is the third problem. Imagine that 2 or 3 weeks go by. You feel tired, irritable, and weaker. One day you eat something forbidden and the body, which had been waiting for weeks, stores it all. That's why this method has such a low success rate. By completely eliminating carbohydrates, you are making the process slower, harder, and less sustainable. Not because it doesn't work in the short term, but because it works against your biology, not with it, which doesn't happen with the following method of counting calories. With this, you can organize everything without vilifying foods, but you have to be very careful with how you do it. You have 2 options in your hand: half a chocolate bar with 100 calories, or half an avocado with the same 100 calories. The number is identical, but what happens afterwards in your body is not. A calorie, technically speaking, is the energy needed to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree. They say your body works like an energy balance. If you eat more than you burn, you gain weight. If you eat less than you burn, you lose weight. That part is simple. What complicates everything is how people live it day by day. Yes, you could lose weight eating only plateaus if you were below your daily expenditure. Your body would react to that deficit by using stored fat as fuel, but it would be a terrible idea. You would lack proteins, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. The calculation, however, would still work. So how does this work in practice? First, you need to estimate how many calories your body needs each day to maintain your current weight. This depends on several factors: your activity level, age, gender, height, and weight. A 25-year-old construction worker will burn a lot more calories than a 45-year-old office worker, for obvious reasons. The second step is to create a calorie deficit. This means consuming fewer calories than your body needs in a day. It's simple in appearance. For example, if your body burns 2,500 calories daily, you can reduce that amount by 500 calories and consume only 2,000. Imagine that your car needs 10 liters of gasoline to run all day, but you only put in 8. The car will have to use its reserves. Your body does the same. If you don't provide it with enough energy, it will start using stored fat to keep functioning. By reducing about 500 calories a day, you could lose around half a kilogram a week. Even so, the number doesn't tell the whole story. The biggest problem with calorie counting is that the figure doesn't tell you how full you'll be, what nutrients you'll get, or how long that food will keep you satisfied. 100 calories of avocado provide healthy fats and satiety. 100 calories of plateau increase blood sugar and leave you hungry in an hour. Also, counting can be overwhelming. Weighing food and measuring every bite turns eating into a math test. For many people, it is not sustainable in the long term. There are also margins of error. Product labels can be misleading. The way of cooking changes the available energy. Imagine weighing each ingredient, adding up the macros, and finding the cooked rice in the correct database. All to end up wondering if the oil counted or not. That's what makes most people give up after a week. Not because it doesn't work, but because it becomes a kind of mathematical torture 3 times a day. And here's the game-changing innovation, an app that calculates the calories in your dish with just a photo. 1 click, and you have the full nutritional breakdown. No weighing, no counting, and no formulas. It's called Cal-AI, and millions use it for a simple reason. It removes the most tedious part of this method. Imagine this: your colleague, the gym bro old-school type with his scale and Tupperware, and you enjoying your grandma's chickpeas without a worry because your phone has already done all the calculations for you. You just enter your basic data: gender, age, weight, and goal. And in seconds, you know your calorie range. It seems impossible, but here we are living in the future. The key to counting calories is to make it sustainable. And with this tool, you will probably go further than your old school gym buddy. From my experience, it's very accurate, but I always check the ingredients in case it omits things like oils. If you're looking for more control, it has a huge database and a label scanner to easily log meals. Cal-AI costs $10 a month, or $30 a year. It's equivalent to $250 a month if you pay all at once. If you want to try it, click the link in the description and use the code TELOPINTO for a free 3-day trial. If you keep that calorie deficit constant, over time you will start to see weight loss results solely through diet. And one thing you don't want is to lose a large part of your muscle along the way. But we'll leave that for later. With exercise, the same pattern almost always repeats. Week 1, motivation is high. Week 2, soreness and pride. Week 3, excuses. Week 4, couch. This cycle repeats so often that it seems like an inevitable fate. But it is not. The problem is not your willpower. It is that you are using a strategy that sabotages your consistency from day one. And the body does not respond to effort. It responds to what it can sustain. This is where the first tool comes into play, which seems too simple to be effective. Walking. You'd be surprised, but walking and running burn a similar amount of calories per kilometer. Running just gets you to the finish line sooner. What does this mean for you? That walking for 45 minutes with a good podcast or a video like this one can give you more consistency than 20 minutes of sprints that leave you on the ground. Adherence always wins. Walking protects your joints. It doesn't require special equipment or membership. You can do it in your neighborhood, at work, or while talking on the phone. That doesn't mean running is bad. Running is a great tool if you already have a base and enjoy the feeling of high effort. The key is to progress wisely. Gradually increase distances, alternate easy stretches with intense ones, and respect rest days. If you're starting from scratch, prioritize daily steps. Climb stairs, park further away, and do errands on foot. That extra expenditure is called non-exercise activity and adds up a lot over the week without you noticing. For those looking to lose fat, the goal is to build a deficit that doesn't wear you out. Walking is the foundation. Later on, you can add strength to protect muscle and improve posture. But even this has a catch, because if you overdo it, even if it's just walking or jogging, your body will make you pay. Lack of sleep does hunger that doesn't go away, pain that doesn't ease. Those are signs that you have crossed a line. And when that happens, what follows is abandonment. Therefore, if you are looking to lose fat, the goal is not to burn yourself out, but to build a deficit without destroying yourself. There are simple details that multiply results. Walk after eating to improve glucose levels. Carry a light backpack to increase the effort without impact. Look for routes with slopes. Take care of your footwear to avoid discomfort, and share it with someone so that the time passes by itself. And when the habit is firm, you can consider other more invasive tools with discernment. Bariatric surgery. You're sitting in a consultation, and for the first time, they don't tell you diet and exercise. They tell you that you meet the criteria. A BMI over 35, an associated disease that could improve. And then you hear the word that sounds like a happy ending. Bariatric surgery. But soon, doubts invade you. Before understanding how they work, locate your stomach. It has 5 parts: cardia at the top where food enters, fundus, which is the large curve at the top, the body in the center, the antrum is in the lower area, the pylorus at the exit to the intestine. With this map, gastric bypass makes sense. Everything begins with the surgeon creating a small pouch at the top of the stomach, approximately the size of an egg. That becomes your new small stomach and fills up quickly. After that, the small intestine is redirected, so food skips a part of the path. It goes directly to a further section of the intestine. This way you eat less, absorb less, and the intestinal hormones change. Hunger decreases, glucose improves, and in people with type 2 diabetes, sometimes insulin is discontinued within days. It seems like the perfect move, but here comes the first problem, because by skipping part of the digestive tract, you absorb fewer calories, yes, but you also absorb fewer nutrients, iron, vitamin B12, calcium, and proteins. And now your body depends on something new, lifelong supplementation. It's not optional. If you fail here, the price is chronic fatigue, anemia, hair loss, or neurological problems. Then someone tells you, okay, the bypass is powerful, but there is something simpler. That's where gastric sleeve comes in. The sleeve sounds more gentle. The intestine is not touched, and there are no reroutes. Only a large part of the stomach, mainly the fundus, is removed. What's left is a narrow tube or sleeve. Being smaller, it holds less food, and you feel full with little. There's a key detail. The portion that is removed produces a lot of ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. When that production decreases, the appetite goes down. Your digestion continues along the normal route, only with a reduced stomach. Once again, it seems ideal, but then the third trap appears. Because the stomach not only regulates how much you eat, it also regulates how you eat. If you eat quickly, discomfort appears before satiety. If you eat due to anxiety, the body has nowhere to hide the excess. And if the emotional habit wasn't addressed before, it doesn't disappear, it shifts. This is where some patients swap binge eating for alcohol, liquid sweets, or constant snacking that doesn't fill them up, but does add calories. And this does not happen because the surgery fails. It happens because the surgery doesn't re-educate behavior. It only changes the scenario. That's why there's a fourth trap that's less visible but more dangerous: expectation. Many people believe that by operating on the stomach, the brain is left out, and it's just the opposite. After a bypass, the food reaches areas of the intestine that release more ghrelin and leptin, hormones that increase satiety and improve the response to insulin. This helps a lot, but only while the system is respected. If you push it, the body adapts. If you look for shortcuts, the body learns. And if there is no psychological follow-up, the problem reappears in another form. None of this means surgery is bad. It means it is not just aesthetic, it is a profound metabolic intervention. Weight loss in the first year can exceed 20% of body weight. The sleeve achieves significant weight loss with less poor absorption. Choosing one or the other depends on your history, your reflux, your previous deficiencies, and your context. And here's the last layer that almost nobody mentions: the environment. In some countries, the health system covers it under strict criteria. In others, it is private, with long waiting lists and uneven follow-ups. And without follow-up, the surgery loses effectiveness over time. That's why what seemed to be just reducing the stomach is actually recalibrating appetite, metabolism, and the relationship with food. When it works, it can change everything. When underestimated, the body sends a bill. Understanding these traps is not to scare you. It is so that if one day you reach this option, you don't enter thinking it's the end of the road, but the beginning of a completely different one. Intermittent fasting is a double-edged sword. You wake up late, rush out and skip breakfast. Hours go by, coffee, meetings, messages, tasks. And suddenly you realize it's been 16 hours since you last ate. Without knowing it, you just activated one of the most popular tools for fat loss: intermittent fasting. This tool involves eating during a set time window and fasting for the rest of the day. The most popular version is 16/8. You fast for 16 hours and eat in an 8-hour window, for example, from 12 noon to 8 at night. There's also 5/2. Eat normally for 5 days and restrict heavily for 2. And alternate days, eat one day and fast the next, which feels tough for beginners. Most don't make it to the second week. During fasting hours, you can drink water, black coffee, or tea. Once you add milk or cream, you break the fast. Now then, why does this seem to work so well for so many? For a reason that seems obvious, but holds more. You have less time to eat, and by reducing intake windows, you reduce calories. Breakfast disappears, snacks vanish, and before you realize it, you're in a deficit. It sounds too easy, and this is where the first problem arises, because not everyone eats less in less time. Some people, when breaking their fast, devour, and if that window is filled with pizza, beers, and emotional snacks, then fasting not only doesn't work, it makes you gain weight faster by overloading digestion and spiking glucose levels suddenly. But there's more. When you fast, insulin levels drop. Think of insulin as the manager of the energy store. When it's high, it orders fat to be stored. When it drops, it allows fat to be taken out of storage. When fasting, your body is free to use fat as fuel. Additionally, it increases growth hormone, which helps preserve muscle while you lose fat. It seems like we are talking about a superpower, but not everything is so nice, because that hormonal balance depends on the context. If you sleep poorly, eat junk, or exercise poorly scheduled, your cortisol spikes and you can lose muscle instead of fat. In summary, without a solid foundation, fasting can work against you. But there's more. When you fast for several hours, your body activates something called autophagy, an internal cleaning at the cellular level. Your cells recycle waste, eliminate debris, and repair themselves. It's a fascinating mechanism, but also highly sensitive to what you do for the rest of the day. If you don't sleep well, don't stay hydrated or overtrain, that cleansing process may be only partially completed, or even lead to chronic stress that takes its toll with anxiety or binge eating. Still, many people who try it report something curious. More mental clarity, less hunger, lightness. During the fasting hours, the body changes its fuel from glucose to fat, from constant digestion to focus. And there comes the most invisible danger of all, believing that because you feel good, everything is working well. Because you might be losing weight, but also muscle mass, mineral reserves, and metabolic resilience. That's why the true value of fasting isn't in skipping breakfast, it's in its well-executed simplicity. If you decide to try it, start with 12 hours and increase to 14 or 16 depending on your tolerance. Some people even fast for several days. Keep enough protein, vegetables, and quality carbohydrates in the eating window. Stay well hydrated and take care of your sleep. If you have diabetes, take medication, are pregnant, or have had eating disorders, consult a professional before applying it. Fasting is a tool, but like any powerful instrument, when misused, it becomes a weapon. And here it's not about how much you can endure, it's about how much you can repeat without breaking. Don't forget to support this type of content by subscribing and watching this other very interesting video that you will love.